Robust content. That's right. It is robust. Robust urban garlic flavor.
Have you ever found yourself hitting 10 stream goals in a row and then going to the point where there's just one particular game that nobody wants to support? Well, you can beg to your audience even harder now and completely crash out and whine and complain about it, and they will reward you. Just not on that particular game.
Gumbulon Prime, I'm just going to say this. What you said is so stupid. He goes, gotta remember, people are here for you and you have to be entertaining.
Yeah, this is one of the mantras that I say all the time, but Phil thinks just because he turns on OBS and is present that he's entertaining. He thinks just playing through a game and offering little to no commentary is an entertaining affair.
Dude, if I wasn't entertaining, no one would be on this podcast, okay? No one would watch my content. No one would support it. There wouldn't be thousands of people who clip and restream. I'm entertaining. May not be for the same reasons. Some could be positive, some could be negative, but people find me entertaining, you incredible idiot. Or else no one would be here. That's the dumbest statement I've ever heard.
Yeah, but at least from what we know, the people that are there are probably wanting you to provide meaningful commentary and gameplay that is actually entertaining instead of your usual snooze fest. There may be a lot of the whales, they may enjoy the begging, but the jury's out on that because we don't really know. So yeah, you are putting in a half-baked effort, and people see through it.
Christian says, when you force yourself to play a game that you don't like, it comes through. I think you should just play what you like. Well, here's the thing. I understand what you're saying, but at the same time, this is a business. I do have to have streams that are going to pay the bills. I love classic JRPGs. I would like to play more of them. I wanted to play Metaphor last year, but after playing 12 hours of the demo, we weren't hitting any goals whatsoever, and it was my least supported stream. So I had to drop the game and never played the full retail version.
Wow, how long is that game that they give you a 12-hour demo? His major problem is that over 90% of the games he's playing, he doesn't like. He would be happier just playing fighting games, but he realizes, hey, 12 streams of fighting games a week is not going to pay the bills.
Okay, that's direct feedback I got from the audience. Now, let's say I said, well, screw it, I'm playing it anyway. So now I commit to an 80-hour playthrough. Okay, that could be upwards of 40 streams where every time I play it, I'm not making any money. How do I stay in business? The answer is I don't. And I've had to make tough decisions like this where I have to say, this works, this doesn't. Stay with this, drop this. And there's nothing you can do. When you're an adult and you have responsibilities and this is your job, you have to make those tough decisions.
Yeah, here's the thing. Most of your audience seems to grasp that concept. You don't need to lay it out for them. They understand that you have to pick games that make you money. Like, why you're even talking about this is ridiculous. Some games you can only have a taste sampling of, some games you can play the whole playthrough. That's the reality of it. You just want to beg to make sure that every playthrough you commit to goes to the end. And even then, it doesn't even work out that well, because the entertainer is not entertaining.
A lot of people don't. This is just funny to them, their hobby. They can do whatever they want because they have a 9-to-5 outside of it. Or they're so large, they're so huge that they don't have any financial problems because they're getting thousands and thousands of viewers a stream. They're rolling in dough. Well, that's not me.
Oh, look, the salt comes in. See, guys, Phil has to beg for a living instead of actually getting a job because he failed to innovate back in 2011. You know why those streamers have large followings? Because they were able to capitalize off of whatever situation that helped them grow. You had that opportunity and you failed to innovate, and now you're stuck here panhandling for a living off of a few whales. That's your choice, Phil. You could have quit years ago, but you refused to do so.
I'm the normal dude, the guy who has a normal life just like you, and I sit here and I enjoy games, and I have to play things that work for my job. No one goes to work, works an 8-hour shift, and the boss says, oh, well, you're just not getting paid for today because it didn't really help anything. Oh.
Yeah, but you are not working a job. You see this as like some office situation. It's not. You're an entertainer. Your income is variable based on how much people deem your content is entertaining or not. You're not entitled to any compensation just because you live stream, Phil. You're not entitled to any viewership just because you put out videos, Phil. You're not entitled to anything. You have to work for it, and you're not working for it. You're just begging for it.
I'm really hoping that at least a few days when I work this week, I'll make some money. You know, it's not how life works. So I do think that playing everything that I want to play would never work, just to be honest. Okay. But I'm okay with balancing. I'm okay with balancing things so that we have enough of the things that other people want and I want, or finding that happy medium to make ends meet. Then I'm good with that. And that has been working. It has. It's just that sometimes there's tough decisions that have to be made on what gets played and what doesn't.
The key word is sometimes, but he's complaining that it's all the time. Here's the reality. Phil has the option to choose any games he wants. He's so successful at begging that he has that flexibility. He decided to play Mafia even if it didn't hit the goals. He decided to play Donkey Kong Bonanza even if it didn't hit the goals, because he has a contingency of whales that he streams so many times a week that he will hit enough goals to give him money. His fans have been giving him at least $2,000 each and every week since I started tracking a month ago. So he's not in any precarious financial position whatsoever. He's just making it seem like that so you pity him and give him money. And the situation he's in is the same that any YouTuber faces. Okay, am I going to make a video about A, or am I going to make a video about B? What is going to get me more views, more engagement, more attention? He's just making it his audience's problem now because they have to figure it out and they have to pay him for it.
Mute says viewer quality over viewer quantity. Now that is actually quite an important factor. Quality over quantity. All right. Why? Because you might have 5,000 viewers, but if 4,500 of the viewers are trolls who hate your guts, it doesn't matter that you have 5,000 viewers. Get it?
Wow, he just completely missed the point that he uploads way too much, and as a result, all his on-demand videos suffer. He just goes, oh, it's the troll's fault. I may get a lot of views, but they aren't paying me. Yeah, but if you had 5,000 concurrent viewers, you'd be able to make a lot of ad revenue on those streams. He's so quick to set up a straw man and the trolls just blame them for everything that he doesn't reflect about how his business model is just not effective in bringing in new people.
You need to have people who like who you are, who like the content you put out, who will engage and support said content.
Phil, a view is a view, no matter who. If you had 1,000 people from Raw Phil coming over to you, and you had now 1,500 viewers concurrently on a stream, even if they were all trolls mocking you like the Lolcow you are, you would be able to monetize their viewership. Instead, you're like, oh, I'm not gonna have any fun in my chat, I'm not gonna allow myself to be roasted, I will ban everybody. And that's why you have low engagement on everything you post up.
Because then, it doesn't matter how many viewers you have, you're still successful. That's what's been happening, honestly, with Silksong. Even though it's not a large audience for it, there are people who like the game and come and support it, so I can keep playing it.
Yeah, there's some whale that's been dropping hundreds of dollars on Phil recently. I don't know why. It's most likely only iced coffee, but then somebody posted that they commented and called Bill Dotrieve, which is an insult to Bill, to be honest. So it may be Iron Den Sakai yet again. Like, the whales don't understand fundamentally that they get the best content out of Phil when he's not getting money, because that just makes him beg and whine even harder. And I'm sure they like that entertainment factor. I think they like being the savior of Phil's streams.
And I'm very grateful for that. I really, really am, because I love that game.
Phil, I know I have a very monotone style of speaking, but you sound really irritated and irked. You don't sound grateful.
It's the same thing with Suikoden right now, and that's the conundrum I'm having about Suikoden II. Suikoden 1 was well supported. Suikoden 2 is not being well supported. It is dipping in views and is dipping in support. And I want to keep it going. At this point, we're just reaching around the halfway point of the game. But I don't know if I can keep it going now because people aren't supporting it as much.
Yeah, well, maybe you shouldn't make an entire playthrough a reward just on the contributions of a few whales, because if those few whales decide to say, hey, I'm on vacation this week, or hey, I'm just not watching Phil right now, then that playthrough is not going to do well. It's not like it had high viewership the first playthrough, so the second game not getting high viewership isn't a surprise. But he's like, oh, the whales are gonna shower me with money to play this game, and guess what? Sometimes it doesn't happen. And yeah, he's complaining despite, you know, this whale giving him hundreds of dollars to play Silksong. He's like, oh, I got $500 today on Silksong, but I only got 100 on Suikoden. I'm broke. Like, I don't get, unless people have cash to burn, why give this man huge sums of money? Because he's just gonna demand more and more out of you. Now, the thing is, you can do with Kick is give him pennies at a time. So yeah, that actually has value because it will annoy him. But like those large contributions, he's not gonna do anything with it.
You know, I really hope that today we can rally and hit the goal. I mean, here we are an hour into the podcast, almost done with the show, and I've raised what? Not even $20? That's horrible. That's not good. The whole idea was that I was trying to get a head start, so when I play Suikoden, we're good.
Mind you, for years, an hour into his podcast, he wouldn't get any money because he wouldn't shout anything out into the end. It was just him rambling. Now it's okay, you gotta pay extra for the podcast. So let's be real, if he's just breaking it up into 4-hour slots, he should be getting $37.50 an hour to hit the 150 goal. But now he's like, okay, I gotta have 75 by the time the podcast ends, so it gets that momentum so people actually pay me to play the game, even though they're not paying me to play the game. Yeah, that will totally work, Philip. Now that his goal is so high, he's just afraid that support will just stop at a certain point because people will realize, hey, nobody else is gonna give money to this guy, so why give money to him if he's not gonna hit the goal? Here's the thing about incentives, they only work if they're attainable, Phil.
But you see my point? Like, there's certain games that I love, that I think are great, and in some cases that the entire gaming community think are Game of the Year contenders, and I can't get people to come by the streams. And I don't know what to do about that.
Here's the thing with you, you've uploaded so much garbage to YouTube that you've been deprioritized since 2012, essentially. That's why it's so hard for your channel to get any focus. And it's not just that the trolls are there, it's because you don't offer anything meaningful. You offer unedited gameplay segments, and people are like, why even bother with that? It's an hour long. If you actually had presentable content that you had on your on-demand videos, you would be in better shape to actually pull more people in or have a chance to. And the reality is, with your live streams, you don't do yourself any favors either, because you are so boring and you focus so much on money that any new viewer is going to be turned off by your toxic attitude. So that's why you have trouble even with new games, because they're like, YouTube is not going to prioritize recommending you. They're going to prioritize somebody that the viewers actually watch, not the village idiot that whines and complains and panhandles for hours on end.
Gameplay streams on Kick are dead as IRL vlogs dominate the site. So what? What's the point of that statement?
And Phil has a point. Even if IRL content is dominating the site, that doesn't mean Phil couldn't carve out a niche. And also, Kick is not the concern. It's the viewership on YouTube. That's what's really worrying Phil, because he knows the whales are on YouTube, not on Kick. If they're on Kick, they're migrating from YouTube. He doesn't want more LARPers in his Kick chat. He wants more whales in his YouTube chat.
You know I can't do IRL content because of the level of trolling that I have, so you know it's not possible.
And that also would be a really bad idea for Phil, because can you imagine Phil walking down the street and him being entertaining? No.
So what's the point of what you just said? How does it even apply to me?
He's just saying that he thinks that gameplay streams on Kick won't be successful. Even though Phil, with the notoriety and infamy that he has, could actually garner a following if he was actually entertaining.
You know who I am, you know the content I make. You know that I'm completely different. Every time that you look at my situation stands apart from everyone else's because I am unique.
You'd be surprised, Phil. You're not as unique as you think you are. You just have the situation where you were popular on YouTube. There are a lot of e-beggars on the internet. There are a lot of apps like TikTok where you just have e-beggars all over the place. It's like, oh, $5 is a cup of coffee. You can't afford to give me money for that. It's things like that. You just have the notoriety of being the guy who may first did himself. And you know, you had Frederick Knudsen make a documentary on you. There's just more interest in you. The downside, Phil, is you're not attractive, so like those e-girls and those e-guys are able to get money from people because they like how they look. You are a 40-year-old man whose best days are behind him.
I'm a guy who's been around for 17 years. I'm in a unique situation with the level of scrutiny that's on me every day, the level of harassment that's on me. I do things differently. What's the norm for others is not the norm for me.
He doesn't understand if he stopped doing his stupid podcast, stopped doing the pointless daily rap videos, and stopped begging entirely, 90% of the things, of the Snortex around him would go away because people would get bored. You just have the gameplay segments and Phil not being entertaining playing games. People watch you because you have these stupid rants like this where you try to do mental gymnastics to justify everything you do as correct. If you just shut up and played the game, nobody would care.
I get good support from Kick for gameplay. I do. Between the subs, the viewership, and now these kicks that are going to be coming, I get good support. Do you really think that I would be co-streaming on Kick if I didn't get anything out of it? Of course I did.
Yeah, here's the thing. He has like 50 people concurrently watching him. He probably gets at least $50 a day off of Kick. Most people that have 50 people watching them concurrently do not get $50 a day from streaming.
So your point is a moot point. It doesn't apply. It's invalid. I don't even know what you're trying to say.
He's saying that it's very likely that your audience potential on Kick is much lower than it would be on YouTube. And honestly, if all the LARPers went away, there'd probably be like 2 people in his Kick chat concurrently at most.
Big Bix makes a good point. He says, looking at the views is the same as trying to look at videos on your on-demand content. Yeah, it does apply to some things, for example, ad revenue, but it's just not super important. What's more important is the support you're getting. So just worry about that.
Yeah, but here's the thing. If you had 2,000 people watching you concurrently instead of 200 people, you'd be getting more ad revenue, but you'd also would be less reliant on a few whales.
Now, I get that, but the point I'm also making is take a look at these games. Claire Obscure and Blueprints did not get good support. I'm making this clear. There were some streams that did, but many of those streams were my least earners.
To be fair, at the end of the Blueprints playthrough, you played it like 5 or 6 times where you said, okay, you either give me $150 or I'm quitting this game, and they hit the goal every single time. The reason that these games don't do well is largely because they don't connect with the whales. So whatever you're doing, they don't enjoy them for whatever reason. So why don't you hop on your silly little Discord with your moderators and whales and ask them why instead of berating your larger scale audience about it? It's not their job to chip in when the whales aren't giving money, Phil.
My lowest earner. So you're telling me whenever I play a game that's one of the best of the year, best RPG, best puzzle game, best Metroidvania, low attendance, low support. So does that mean I skip the best games of the year? That means that I don't get to play the best games.
Have you ever thought, Phil, because maybe that they're new games that a lot of people are playing them and that your fans actually watch other people than you and they find those people more entertaining? So while they may watch you for Capcom, they're like, oh, there's this new hot game. I'll just watch somebody who will play it hours upon end instead of having Phil do a version where he plays it once or twice a week. There's a lot of choices you have to make. Do I play this game a lot? Do I play this game a little? And how your fans react to it in contributions determines your next move, but your next move is always e-bagging harder, so it's kind of all a wash with you. So any decision that you make is really irrelevant because you have a specific pattern that tells us what is going to happen. You're going to get a lot of support, then it's going to dry up, then you're going to complain, then you're going to get lots of support again. So the games are really irrelevant. And I don't think he's realized this yet, but the Kino arc really hurt him in that he admitted to playing WWE champions. That's why his views on his on-demand videos are down. That's why his views on his live streams are down. People are like, I had enough with this guy. I'm going to watch somebody else that doesn't beg for groceries. And he's really coming to terms that while he had a fake renaissance, he squandered all that money and he has to continue what he was doing in the past instead of building on whatever sense of security he thought he had in the past, because if it comes in, it goes out. So he's probably living week to week on those Kick paychecks or YouTube payments or PayPal tips because he compulsively spends instead of planning for the future. And that's on him. He's been doing this for how many years? He should have had a nest egg by now.
How can I call myself a variety gamer and a variety streamer if I skip what's known to be the best? Because I have an audience that sits here and complains that those games are boring, and then basically won't support them.
What are you talking about? Being a variety gaming streamer does not mean you have to play every new game. It just sounds like you want to play those games because they're new and you think you'll get their viewership from it, but your fans are like, no, I'm not going to wail out on you for that. Here's maybe an idea. You should do beta tests where you see how your fans react to those games. Are they supporting a game or are they not? Like, he fully doesn't understand that his streaming schedule was practically decided by a few handful of whales that say, I'm going to support Phil today just because. You make content for the audience you want. That's what YouTubers do. And the audience Phil wants is just a bunch of whales that nod yes to everything he says and gives him a ton of money. That's what he wants. And those people are hard to come by. So have fun with that, Phil.
That's my conundrum here. Okay? That really is my conundrum. So the thing is, I get people who are trying to be like helpful, but they don't understand that the way that they're saying things, it doesn't help. Like one person just says, you're overcomplicating things. If you absolutely never talked about income, if you never talked about support, if you didn't have goals, if you just played games and had fun, you'd be successful. Wrong!
Here's where Phil actually has a point because he's not entertaining enough to hold an audience. And he's always been like this even since 2009. He's always been asking his fans for money. And most people got turned off by that, and the few that didn't stayed and gave him a ton of money. So that's the situation he's in. Like, seriously, Phil is not an entertaining content creator. He's only entertaining for ironic reasons. Like, seriously, if Phil stopped begging, the money would dry up because it's like, oh, Phil hasn't told us that he needs his money now. Like, I'm serious. If he became self-aware and realized, hey, maybe it's not polite to just constantly berate people for money, he wouldn't get their support because for years he's conditioned them to say, hey, when I want money, you give it. So they're not going to give him money out of the kindness of their hearts when he's not begging because they're like, oh, Phil doesn't need it if he's not talking about it. And he's not entertaining enough to rebound from it. So he's stuck in this loop of I either beg or I don't get paid today. Now, sometimes he may get money, but most of the time, considering he streams 12 times a week, you wouldn't be hitting goals most of those streams, if not close to all of them. It's all about the begging. The begging keeps him afloat. He's not a gaming streamer. He's a begging streamer.
Wrong! Wanna know how I know that? Because I've been doing this for 17 years, and I have the track record to show that just doesn't work.
It works for most people, it just doesn't work for Phil, because Phil is not an entertaining content creator. He's an entertaining panhandler, he's an entertaining e-beggar, but he's not an entertaining gamer.
There was a time when I didn't have to do that, right? There was a time when everything was based off ad revenue, and things were good.
Except the time he got laid off from his helicopter job and told his fans to click on ads and then he got departnered.
Those times are long gone, dude. Long gone.
Yeah, and you decided instead of going and getting a job that live streaming while panhandling was the better option for you because you wanted to live the frivolous lifestyle of luxury that you lead. This reminds me of Howard and Rambo saying that while DSP was paying nobody for Project 7, not even getting them lunch, he was leasing a BMW.
In fact, the only streamers that don't have to talk about support are the streamers that have gone viral.
Phil, the issue is not occasionally asking for support. The issue is you turn your whole live streams into about it. Your daily raps prove it. Did we hit the goal or not? Oh guys, we gotta hit the goal. You have to remind everybody every 5 minutes so they can see the leaderboard right up there. That's what the thing is, Phil. You don't get it. Live streamers don't go on 20 to 30 minute rants about why they need money.
The ones that hit the algorithm and they get thousands and thousands of viewers a day, they don't ever have to mention goals or income. Literally every other streamer does it.
Okay, we have to explain this again to the village idiot. They don't make their live streams about begging for money. They make their live streams about an actual piece of entertainment. You just use games as coverage to pretend that you actually offer something. You don't. All you offer is your begging. That's it. And like you being all salty about not hitting the algorithm, you hit the algorithm back in like 2009, Phil. You had your chance. You were so lucky. You have so much more opportunity than a lot of other people did. And you squandered all of it because you're an idiot. And it's not your fans' jobs to bail you out now because you didn't make smart decisions in your past with your money or your channel. So don't come crying to me or anybody else about how you can't play games. You chose this lifestyle. That's on you. And why you have so much attention on you is because you're a total head case that doesn't get that making your streams about begging will attract a bunch of people that are interested in the begging and not the actual entertainment. If you were entertaining, maybe you would be able to get away with it, but you're not. So here we are yet again, you needing to be taught the same lesson that you will never understand. Because honestly, as long as the whales keep funding this nonsense, this ridiculous absurdity, you're good to go.
All right? I'm just going to say this as clearly as I can say it. You're wrong. You don't know what you're talking about. You don't do this for a living. You wish you could. You watch big streamers, and then you try to apply that to small-time people.
The problem for Phil is that Phil is a jerk, and he doesn't know how to profit on it. You see, there are some people, Keemstar for instance, who have made an existence on the internet out of being a complete jerk, but Phil couldn't handle the criticism that comes with it, so he can't be positive and entertaining, so that's why he's not the Rad Brad today. If he was, he would have no problem with people watching his playthroughs, but he's just boring as dirt. So now we have the begathon situation where he has to hold a Bagnanza every day, or he doesn't get paid.
That's not fair. In fact, that's insane. It means you're an idiot. You don't know what you're talking about. Your opinion is invalid. I've tried different things. It doesn't work. When I bring up income and goals, I make them. When I don't bring up income and goals, no one contributes. It's pretty simple. Cause and effect.
So what he's saying is that everybody on the internet is an e-beggar if they ask even once for contributions. Phil, you ask like 100 times a stream, and you don't realize how ridiculously excessive that is. People don't whine if they don't hit goals like you do. You miss one goal a week and it's a complete disaster. You are the king of melodrama when you don't get as much money as you think you deserve. And streamers ask for support, but they're not asking for 300 each and every day. You take it to an extreme, and you take it to its absurdity that so many people are fascinated by it. So let's say I had a live stream. I streamed for 3 hours, asked for money 3 times. Hey, you know, it would be nice if I got a super chat or something. That wouldn't come with a lot of criticism because the rest of the content would actually be like something entertaining. But you are like, okay, I need to hit this checkpoint in the game so I can go right back to begging. That's what people see. They see that you're not providing anything. That's the key. You need to provide something. And, you know, also beg like 100th of what you do, but you'll just never get it because you just like to be redundant. And what he's basically saying here is that he thinks his audience is really stupid because he has to constantly prod them for money. Like, they should know that, hey, if we don't pay Phil a certain amount of money, not exactly $300, but probably like somewhere between 70 to like, I don't know, 125 on average per stream, he won't be able to do this full time.
No, see, this is what I'm saying. Someone just tipped $1.50 and said, I do see some people playing games like Suikoden and Hollow Knight and getting 1,000 viewers. You're right. That's what I'm trying to bring up. Do you understand? It's not that I'm not successful. It's not that I don't have an audience. It's that the majority of that audience doesn't want to see me play these games that seem to be the best of the year. So what do I do?
Yeah, let me remind you all, Phil streams regularly 12 times a week, so he kind of expects like 80 to 90% of his audience to be there every single stream, and that doesn't happen, obviously. Like, if people have a choice of watching Phil play a game or another streamer or playing it themselves, they would choose the latter 2 options instead of Phil. It's just the reality. Phil, you're boring.
Do I adapt? Do I not play those games? Do I play them in a different method? Am I doing something wrong? Because it's not that I don't have an audience. I do. And that audience shows up and engages and in general supports my content, or else I wouldn't make a living. So then what is it about these particular games? That seems to be the answer that it's eluding me. And I'll be honest with you, one of the things that I do think it is, to be honest, is you have newcomers that come by every once in a while. They come to the stream and they see me playing a game and they get interested. Oh, wow, this is Darkside Phil. I've heard so much about this guy. Let's actually check out the stream. They'll watch the stream, and at the end of the stream, they'll be like, I don't understand. All these people on the internet say this guy is like the devil. They say he's a scumbag. They say all he talks about is money. Literally, that didn't happen in this stream. Yeah, he brought it up a few times, but that's not what it was all about. He didn't berate the viewers. He didn't attack people. In fact, that was an entertaining stream. Okay?
Phil, nobody has ever said that. Only an iced coffee soccer cow has said that. Let's be real here.
So then they show up for their second stream. But then the second stream happens to be a game that I have to pay attention to the game. And then the troll brigade moves in. And they come in with their 100 accounts saying nasty things, awful things, right? Robots, spam accounts, attacking. Or they're in kick chat, they enjoy their first night, but then you get a more sarcastic group. And this group is here to just basically dump on me.
Oh my god, it's all Tevin's fault. Dude, the kick chat is always there to dump on you. So it's like, it mustn't be me that's the problem that they won't watch these new games. It must be the trolls.
And be toxic, right? Then that person says, oh, I'm going to do a super chat to support Phil because I like these first 2 streams I attended. So they do a super chat. And within 24 hours, they have 20, 30 people who are spam messaging them on their X account and their TikTok saying, hey, you for supporting Dark Side Phil, you piece of shit. You scumbag. Now we're going to harass you. Now we're going to dox you. And they post their shit on Kiwi farms. They're dox. So why do you think I can't get a positive audience for games? Honestly.
Yeah, you're right in that the trolling is a significant part of it, but it's usually on people that give huge amounts of money to you. And no, I don't condone any of that. Let's be real, that's ridiculous. But the main thing is because you're boring and your content is based around you begging for money. That's why you have these trolls that follow you around and they haunt your nightmares because they want to see you fail.
Why? Because now it's starting now to the point where I have changed so much in the last couple of years. And it's not just, oh, it's him. It's the quality of the content I'm putting out. No longer can you say his quality sucks. All his equipment's outdated. He doesn't try. He doesn't set anything up. Look at the setup.
Honestly, the only improvement you have is the microphone where it doesn't register the background noise that you have. Those lights and stuff, who really cares? Oh, we can see your aging face in high definition now. Congratulations, man. The gameplay is supposed to be your bread and butter, and still, you put less effort into it than you did 8 years ago.
I set up all for this morning, these lights and everything. Oh, no, it's not that. It's not that I don't put in effort. I'm here 6 days a week streaming full time, double streams.
But here's the problem. You think quantity equals quality. If you cut back on the streams and did like 6 a week instead of 12, you would have more energy for those 6 streams. You were just there vegetating on stream and people see it. That's why they're not really going to be like, oh, I don't want to hang around because this guy posts way too much. He streams way too much and it's cluttering my feed. And the stuff that he puts out is not worth the frequency of his uploading.
It's not that I don't have the equipment. It's not that I don't have the personality. It's that when people try to be positive new people, they get f***ed with.
Yeah, Phil, because you fostered an environment of trolling that's put your audience at risk. If you stop with the begging and you became like boring, the trolls would walk away and then people would be free to donate whenever they felt like. But you have to beg constantly, so that puts a target on everybody in your chat's back because there's not 1,000 people watching you and 100 people donating. There's like 10 people donating to you. And it's like, Phil, those people can stick around. They can lurk. They don't have to actively give you money. There's not a requirement to be on a DSP stream to give you money, even though you really want it to be so. They could even tip you and use a virtual name that won't be tracked to another account.
So why would they stick around? Don't you think that after your first, second, third stream experience where there's a bunch of toxic jerks in the chat that I can't moderate?
You can't moderate, Phil? You over-moderate all the time. Stop speaking nonsense.
And then you're getting harassed for liking my content. Don't you think people are going to leave? So how on earth could I ever grow? How could I ever get an audience for the hot new games that are popular like Clair Obscur or Blueprints or Silksong when people can't even have a safe environment to be in when they're on my streams?
Again, stop feeding the trolls. If you stop feeding the trolls with your begging and your nonsensical rants like this, people would lose interest. But you refuse to do so because you're like, oh, I need to beg to earn a living.
Right? And then if they try to search for my content, they get, Phil is a greedy. Phil did this and I didn't do it at all. It's completely live, completely fabricated. Phil did this horrible thing. Phil crashes out on stream. And all you do is you watch the clip and it's just me reacting to like a cheap death on a game. You know, like everyone does on a gameplay stream. But Phil crashing out, that's the clip. See, Phil's an awful person. He crashed out.
You forgot to include the channels that now include beg counters.
So what do you think is going to happen? Do you think I can even affect any of that stuff? It's an honest question.
Yes, I absolutely do think you can affect all of that. If you stop making daily rap videos and podcasts, a good majority of the people following you would just go away because they're like, I'm not staying for the gameplay. They may see clips on it on other websites and things like that, but like, that's the main draw for the trolls. It's not just that you suck at video games, it's you begging for money. Anyone can suck at video games, Phil. It's just you have an ego about it. Like, I wouldn't be able to make 7 videos a week off of the stuff that you have from your gameplay. But since you have those podcasts and the daily raps where you continuously talk about money, I'm able to do so because you provide ample amounts of content, Phil. If I had the time, I could make 20 videos a week on you. I wouldn't upload them all, but I could make them. Because that's how much you feed the trolls with content that they can use to criticize you or laugh at you with.
Could I affect any of that? Could I change any of that? I would like to have a positive audience that comes by for the good new games. I want to enjoy them. Why is it that I have to really struggle through certain styles of games that are the best of the year, but then if I just simply play a game that has like a repetitive game loop again, like Call of Duty, then it goes well? I don't get it.
Because you're only entertaining playing games when you rage and suck at them. That's the reality. And if you want a positive audience, you have to be positive. You are not. You're all negative about money, complaining and whining and things like that. That's why you have all those trolls. Congratulations, Phil. You created this problem and you can't dig yourself out of it because you're too unaware. And if you actually became self-aware and realized this, you would be done streaming within a month because nobody would donate.
To be honest with you, I don't get it. Because it used to be the opposite. It used to be people were here for the big chill games. They were here for Heavy Rain, for The Walking Dead. It didn't have to be a bunch of crazy gameplay. It could just be us relaxing and enjoying my company while I do commentary over a game like that. People loved it. Now it's, well, that's boring.
1, taste change. 2, you had a decline in viewership before the Kino arc, and the Kino arc arguably cemented it when you admitted to playing WWE Champions, so maybe a lot of those people enjoyed those big AAA games, but now you're just left with the whales who are like, I want to see Phil be boring and beg for money. And this makes absolutely no sense because, at least within the past month, he's making bank. He's making at least $2,000 a week, if not more. But I guess he's used to like $3,000 a week or something.
Well, guys, I think I've gabbed enough, but I do want to say, please, let's get some support so that now, when I'm playing Suikoden II, I don't have to worry the entire stream that it's going to be the dead stream. Let's go. We got no subs on Kick today. There was 1 resub. We got no subs at all. No memberships. The tips have been $1 each. Can we please get some support? So when I'm playing Suikoden, it's like, well, it's another dead stream. We literally just had 8 or 9 straight streams of hitting the goals. Can we stop? Can we break this pattern? I'm serious. I'm now. This is a good game I'm about to play. Now, you might not agree or you might not respect the classics, and that's okay. But you at least respect my content or else you wouldn't be here in a positive capacity. Let's get some support right now so that when I play this game, I don't have to worry about Let's go.
Like, he just does not understand how wild this is. No other streamer does this on YouTube, at least. Phil, this is a daily occurrence with you. Oh, I hit 9 goals. I want to hit 10 goals in a row. I want to just keep hitting goals in a row. Yeah, you're ungrateful, Phil. You're not entitled to anything. And this is what people have issue with. It's your attitude. They see that you're full of it. They see that you're an idiot. They see that you're a jerk. And they're like, yeah, this guy doesn't deserve anything that he gets. So we're going to hang around and hope that the wheels on the wagon go off.
I'm seriously skipping all this. Everyone's sending me $1 tip with toxic stuff. So just ignore this nonsense. There you go. All 3 morons. I'm not reading any of your messages because you're all trolls and you can kiss my... Okay, let's get our first sub of the day on Kick right now. Let's get a tip bigger than $2. Let's get a new top super chat on the leaderboard. So let's beat $6.83. Let's get some support from all around on there right now. Let's go. Let's get some kicks of 100 or more so I can actually count it. Buckwell, well, let me ban you first. He says, are you open to real legit feedback? Because I've given you feedback before and you banned me.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Phil's ego is very fragile, so even constructive criticism he takes offense at.
No, you see, you don't understand what feedback is. You don't. There's a difference between constructive criticism and either being unfair or toxic. If you actually have a constructive suggestion for improvement, that is something that I can apply or at least consider, versus you're just doing it all wrong and that's your problem, but then you have nothing to say positive about what you could do to improve. Or if it's been something that literally I've said a million times why I can't do, like, for example, I cannot do a fan lobby because if I do, the trolls will take up half the spots and ruin the lobby for the real fans. There's no point in even doing it. So then if you say, well, it's your own fault because you don't do fan lobbies, you're just trolling. I've already logically explained why I can't do it.
Yeah, Buckwell, the guy who donated numerous DLCs to your American Truck Simulator game playthrough, is a troll and wants to see you fail at YouTube and streaming. Okay, Phil. Do you see how ridiculous you are? Like, seriously, this is somebody who pays for your content. They enjoy your content. You should at least give them an ear and hear them out instead of saying, oh, everything you point out is a troll thing. There are actually people legitimately trying to help you, and you're just too foolish and too thick-headed, and you think you're smarter than everybody else, that you don't realize it. But the reality is, you're an idiot. You are not the smartest person in the room. You're just the guy who is in the seat. You just found yourself in this situation, and because of that luck, you're able to dictate your demands. You often find just because somebody has a platform or money or power or influence does not mean they're actually smart. It's more often that they had the right connections and they had the right opportunities at the right time. And with Phil, it's clear as day that that is the case.
Just because you emotionally want the fan lobby doesn't mean I can make it happen. I can't finger snap the trolls away, make them go away. So you just don't feed the trolls. Do you understand?
Dude, you could have had a lobby in Mario Kart. There's no voice chat there. You just couldn't stand the trolls getting in there and just messing with your racing. You're like, oh no, they're saying Cat is fat. I can't have that. Dude, she's fat and you're probably mostly responsible for that.
So that's what I'm saying. If you have something constructive to say that you can actually add, great. But if not, then keep it to yourself because no one gives a about your toxicity. Here you go.
Yeah, you can just browse through my videos and like anything constructive that I say, if you bring it up to Phil, Phil will just say you're toxic and he'll ban you. That's how Phil operates. He just wants you to tell him that he's right in everything that he does and that you are going to support him regardless of what he plays or how he acts. That's what he wants you to say. So there's really no point in Phil asking his fans for anything because Phil already knows the solution in his head and what he wants. And that's why you're better off watching any other streamer than DSP because he's just completely lost his mind. He doesn't understand what entertainment is about. He just expects you to pay his bills because you're there. And that's just not how it works, Phil. So that is my analysis of another one of DSP's rants about money and not getting enough because he's entitled and such like that. So thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this wild, wacky ride, and I will have more for you next time. So have a wonderful day. This is Robust turning off the station.
Mash the move, you gotta roll, then mash the move. Roll, mash a move. roll, mash a move. I said roll, and mash a move. When you're gonna lose, you gotta mash the move, you gotta roll, then mash the move.